Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see by the title of this video, this is going to be a different type of reading than what I usually do. I feel like I was called to do this reading because, there's been a lot of death in the media. And, when there's a lot of death in the media, sometimes it can really shake us up. And a lot of us could, start to develop a lot of death anxiety. And so I set the intention with this reading to kind of help soothe any, paranoia, fears, or anxiety surrounding death that, any of us may have. Now, what I will say is that, I'm going to give all the messages that come through. I'm not sure what's going to come through, so I'm just kind of giving you the heads up. Like I said, the intention is to sort of ease that fear and that anxiety. So I don't think anything terrible is going to come through, but I'm just giving you the heads up that I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Like, I'm going to give you exactly what I see within the cards. So make sure that you are ready and prepared for that. I also do want to give the disclaimer that the deaths that I'm picking up on in these cards, like the messages about death, I should say, it's not involving suicide. And my spirit guides did want me to make that clear, that suicide would be a whole separate type of reading. It will be different from what I'm picking up in these messages. So suicide is excluded from this. So, just had to give that disclaimer in case anyone was wondering. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into this. So the first two cards are the Golem card and also the Great Fortune card. So immediately what I'm hearing is that upon death, there is a spiritual team that meets you and helps you to cross over into a higher realm. So, and I'm sure that you've probably heard of this before. Like, if you've ever listened to people's like near-death experiences and things like that, you've probably heard them talk about how they saw their other family members that had passed before them. Like they met them after they themselves died or crossed. So that's what I'm seeing here. It's like you have a spiritual team that's kind of waiting for you on the other side. It includes like loved ones that have already passed, but then it also includes your angelic team, like the angels that surround you and protect you, and also your spirit guides. And your spirit guides can double as like loved ones and family members as well. So yeah, it's just overall your spiritual team that's there to help soothe you and help you to be less afraid or less confused, because I am picking up that there are some people who do feel confusion when they pass, because it is like sometimes people pass in ways that is very unexpected. And so, there's like this confusion that can take place. There are some people who are not confused because they may have been preparing for it. Like, for example, those who have been diagnosed with like a terminal illness and they know they only have a certain amount of time to live. They would probably be a little less confused once they pass. But for those who experience like an unexpected death, yes, there may be initial confusion, especially because what I'm hearing is that if someone died, like, for example, in like an accident, let's say they died in like a car accident, before the impact, like before they actually got hit, like within the accident, their soul will usually eject from their body before they can feel the impact. So, they didn't feel the pain of the impact. And so therefore they just eject out of the body and they're just confused, like what's going on, what just happened, which, you could see that as a good thing because there's no pain before the death. Gosh, I don't know if I want to actually relay that message that I just heard. Yeah, my guys just kind of showed me. I don't know if I want to relay that message, but yeah, basically overall, it's just you get ejected. Like someone gets ejected from the body if it's too painful. And the message that I'm saying, I don't know if I want to say it. It's not anything it's not anything different from what I'm already saying or what I just said. It's just a specific example from someone in history that died a very tragic or painful death. And apparently he was ejected from his body before he was ejected from his body before he actually died. So he didn't actually have to experience all of that pain. But I don't know if it's wise or if I should even say who it is. But it's a historical figure within the Black community that died very tragically at the hands of racist people, and apparently he was ejected from his body so that he would not have to experience that pain. So okay, moving on. So like I said, there is a spiritual team that's there to help a person cross after they have passed, and to help them kind of understand what has just happened and to help comfort them. Now, I'm seeing that initially when, the soul ejects from the body, there is like a waiting period. There's like a limbo period where you will meet, that spiritual team. It kind of reminds me of the movie Soul, like the Disney movie Soul, where they're on that like conveyor belt. If you haven't seen Soul, I definitely recommend watching it, because it'll give you a more clear understanding. Like a lot of the information in that movie is actually very accurate when it comes to death. Basically, in the movie Soul, they're on a conveyor belt when they initially die, and the conveyor belt is going up towards a bright light, which is representing like them crossing fully over into this higher dimension. And so it's like this waiting period that's there, and then your guides are there to kind of help you towards that light, is what I'm seeing. So there is something like that, similar to, I guess, what the Christians would call purgatory, or like a limbo period before crossing over into that higher realm, is what I'm seeing. Now, what I will say, gosh, I don't know if I'm trying to just be very careful. This is like a very delicate subject, because I feel like some of you are going to be wondering, like, but what about earthbound spirits? Like how, okay, for example, if you found out that a serial killer, right, lived in a certain house and killed people in a certain house, would you want to live in that house? No, most likely not. Even if they were selling the house for dirt cheap, you most likely would not want to live in it, because of the energy that would be in the house. But also you would fear what? That there's like souls that are not at rest in that house, like the earthbound spirits. So some of you may be curious about earthbound spirits. Earthbound spirits are kind of like, I don't want to say they're stuck in this limbo period that I'm talking about, but kinda. See, this reading is supposed to soothe anxiety, so I don't want to get too much into that, but I just feel like some of you are going to be curious about it. Yeah, there is such thing as earthbound spirits. What's really crazy is that once I had a vision about earthbound spirits that are underwater, which I never took into consideration before. I just always thought about like earthbound spirits, ghosts, quote unquote, as kind of, being here, like walking on the ground, like how we are. I didn't even consider that there are people who have died like within the ocean and things of that sort, that their souls would be earthbound but underwater. But the vision that I was seeing was that there were guides underwater that were helping them to cross. And also, there are people here that do spiritual work to help earthbound spirits cross. So if they are stuck in limbo, there are people who do the work to help them cross. Like, God, this is going to get very complex, and this reading is going to go on forever, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but just know that there are like people who are doing spiritual work here to help earthbound souls that may be trapped here. But we're not going to get too much into that in this reading. We're more so talking about death that takes place where there isn't like an earthbound soul or spirit stuck in purgatory. We're talking about the ones that actually are being guided to this higher realm. Okay, because what I'm hearing is that it's less common for a soul to be earthbound than for them to actually cross over into these other realms. So I hope that made sense. Hope this reading does not get too confusing, because this topic is very complex and it is hard to kind of explain or put into words. It goes beyond human comprehension and understanding, So, the next two cards out are the Ace of Swords and the Despair card in reverse. Again, like I said, the Ace of Swords talks about confusion. Just not really understanding what's going on initially. I think that some people, like there may be a misconception that when, you first die, you feel like sad about it or depressed about it or like longing to go back. But no, I'm feeling like the predominant energy is just like what just happened, like more of like a confusion sort of thing, more than like depression and things like that. And again, you do have a spiritual team and guys that are there to kind of fill you in on what's happening and to comfort you as well. And that's something that a lot of us can have anxiety surrounding. We can have anxiety surrounding the fact that, what if, something happens to me unexpectedly and then I just feel like I want to go back, but I can't. And then there's like this longing to go back. I'm hearing that that's not actually very common. Like that can happen, but it isn't. It's like a momentary thing. Because like I said, there is like these guides and these angelic beings and loved ones that are there to comfort you and help you. And you can even like, if you go and look up people who have had near-death experiences, if you look them up, there's some people who said like they died unexpectedly and, they ended up being brought back to life, like resuscitated or whatever. And then they end up like when they get, put back into their body, they're like, I didn't even want to come back because it was so like peaceful. It was so blissful because they most likely were interacting with these, angelic beings that were, giving them a glimpse of what it's like to be in this higher realm. So like I said, there's like this misconception or fear of like, am I going to want to go back and long to go back, but I can't. And it's not that, or at least not for a long time period. It's very momentary. It's very like a momentary thing. Overall, there's like this peace that comes with it because there's like these guides and these angelic beings helping you, and helping to comfort you. So I hope that makes sense. The next two cards out are the Wheel of Fortune card and the Unexpected Income card in the reverse. So I'm seeing this as like a life review, like having a review of your life, the things that you have experienced while you were on Earth, and just kind of figuring out, did you fulfill the things that you came here to fulfill? Because before you get here, your soul does want you to experience certain things because our soul is constantly wanting to evolve and grow. And so your soul did want you to experience certain things before you get here, but then, we have free will. So sometimes, we might not experience certain things that we wanted to experience, or we may not have grown in certain areas that we wanted to grow. So there's like this life review that takes place. And then it's like this decision that's made of whether or not you feel you want to reincarnate again. And I'm not sure if you guys believe in reincarnation, but I definitely do. And it's definitely coming up in these cards. So it is going to be mentioned more. But like I said, it's like this like decision of like, do I want to reincarnate because I feel unfulfilled, or because I feel like my soul still has something that needs to be experienced, especially if you're carrying any type of like karmic baggage from like other lifetimes. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to like get into this without making it too complicated. All right, so from my understanding, right, there are certain things that have taken place in a past life and we feel like it's unfinished business. Our soul wants us to resolve whatever that unfinished business is. And so we can choose to reincarnate in order to kind of finish whatever unfinished business we have, right? So that's what I kind of mean by karmic cycles. Just kind of look at it like that. So I feel like upon this life review, there could be like this either like a realization, like I still have this karmic cycle that I want to complete, I want to reincarnate, or of course there could also be the option of simply moving on to this higher realm and not reincarnating, is what I'm hearing with this Wheel of Fortune card. So yeah, there is like an option, is what I'm hearing. There's an option of reincarnating or not, depending on if you feel like things that you are fully fulfilled or not. But I will also say this though, that's why a lot of people, on a subconscious level, they may not even realize this, but a lot of people this lifetime are wanting to build generational wealth and also wanting to break generational karma, right? Or break generational curses, I should say, right? Like any type of like trauma and things within the bloodline. A lot of people are wanting to break those things. And on a subconscious level, on a soul level, they may be wanting to build that generational wealth and break these generational curses just off the simple fact that they may want to reincarnate and end up in the exact same bloodline. Most likely you're going to reincarnate into your same bloodline, right? And so if you do the work to break these generational curses and to build this generational wealth, you may be able to come back and reap the rewards or the benefits of doing the work that you've done. So some people might might make the option of coming back simply to enjoy their labor and the work that they've done to, break those generational curses and to build that generational wealth. It's like, I want to experience the fruits of my labor. So I am going to reincarnate into my own family again in order to experience the fruits of my labor, the fruits of my hard work. So That's what I'm seeing here. Sometimes it's not always about like, oh, there's certain lessons I needed to learn and I didn't learn them, so I need to come back. Sometimes it's like I put in the work to like create this and build this within my bloodline. I'm coming back to at least enjoy it for one lifetime, is what I'm hearing. I am also seeing that there are some people who may choose to come back specifically because of a certain person that they love. Apparently love is strong enough that it can cause people to want to reincarnate again. If they had an experience with a loved one and they feel like it was cut short on Earth, they may want to come back and experience it again and play it out fully. So the example that my guides are giving me is like Jack and Rose from the Titanic, which is kind of weird because they are fictional characters, but just look at them as an example how they very much loved each other, but their time together was cut very, very short. That would be an example of a type of love that they may choose to reincarnate again to be able to play out that love story with each other and for it to actually have a happy ending this time. See what I'm saying? So apparently love is a very strong force and it can pull you right on back here, or if you so choose. And it doesn't just have to be romantic love. It can also be like, just platonic love, or just love of like a child, love of like a family member, things of that sort, love of a friend. It doesn't just have to be romantic. So I do want to point that out as well. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I just keep on hearing that you have the option. The option is there for you if you wanted to reincarnate and try it again and do it again. And like I said, as much as people say, I'm not coming back here and all of that, they may have a change of heart once they actually pass. Because what I'm seeing is that after you pass, apparently, it's like you don't fully remember the extent of what you went through on Earth. Like, okay, for example, right? When someone has a baby, that experience of going into labor is a very painful experience, right? It's like an experience that, I mean, we all know it's a horrific, I mean, I don't know if I want to call it horrific, but we can all agree that like delivering a child is excruciating pain. Even if you've never had a child, you can clearly know that and see that if you've ever watched like delivery videos and stuff like that. It's clearly extremely painful, right? But people go and have multiple children. And why is that? Because they'll experience the pain and then they will have their child and they're like, wow, the reward was so worth it. Like, now I have my child. And then it's like they sort of get amnesia a little bit on how painful it actually was, in order for them to go ahead and do it again and again. Now, of course, there are the traumatic childbirths that, make it so that people never want to experience it again. But, for the most part, people have more than one child, so there's a slight amnesia, I guess you could say, I don't know how else to describe it, that makes it so that the pain, you're not even considering it anymore after it's over, so that you can come back and do it again. It's very much like that with reincarnation, is what I'm hearing. People might think, oh, I'm never coming back because I've had such a terrible time on Earth, it was so traumatizing, and then boom, when they leave their body, suddenly they're like, I might want to come back and do this again. Because it's like slight or mild amnesia that takes place so that you could do it again. Just always look at it as like the childbirth analogy, pretty much. That's the best way I can describe it. Okay, now there is somewhat of a confusing message that's here. I'm going to give it anyway, because maybe you can decipher it or decode it. I don't know, but I am seeing here that, okay, there are some people who are going to cross over into this higher realm, right? And they're saying, I'm not reincarnating, I'm staying right here. I'm crossing over into this higher realm. I'm stepping into the light, I guess you could say. Like when like on the movie Soul, when they have like that big bright light that the souls are, they're going through the conveyor belt into that light. That's kind of what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's like some souls choose to go into the light and not reincarnate. And what I'm seeing here is that when you get there, there's like this higher being that gifts you with something that you wanted while you were on Earth, but you could not obtain. And to me, that's why I said I want to know y'all opinion in the comment section. To me, it sounds like it's that unconditional love and bliss that you can only experience in this higher realm. You may be looking for it in this realm, like you may be looking for it on Earth, but you can't quite find it or grasp it until you get to this higher realm, and now you feel it all the time. you feel that love around you all the time. That's how I'm interpreting this message. It's like a higher being that gives you a gift that you were looking for on earth that you couldn't quite find, and you finally get it when you get to this higher realm. To me, that sounds like that love, that unconditional high vibrational love that we're all looking for, but somehow it kind of always falls short. That's what I'm kind of seeing here, is that you feel that love all the time when you are now in this higher realm and you have now reconnected with source. And then the Ace of Pentacles is here, and then the Lover's card is here. So again, this is, to me, I'm reading this as people who do choose to, cross fully over, go into that higher realm, heaven, some people refer to it as. So it's like people who do choose to cross over and go into that higher realm and not reincarnate. It's like they are returning back home. They are returning back to their true essence of love. So that's all they can experience now within this realm is love, this unconditional, blissful love. And it's a love that's very hard to explain to human beings. Like when we are in, this form that we're in, when we're in our bodies, it's very hard to explain this love. But the closest thing that you can get to it on earth would be like when you are really, really in love with a person and they're in love with you, and or like you really love your child, you really love your family, like that love that you feel for them. It's like when you return back to source, you experience that love like times a million. It's very, very hard to explain. I did have a spiritual experience once where I got to experience a glimpse of that love, and it was so powerful. It was like overwhelming. I couldn't even it's like I couldn't even stand it, how overwhelming it was. Like the love, the bliss, the peace. It was like overwhelming to my body, if that makes sense. And I could only experience it for a short amount of time. But like I said, the closest thing that I can describe it, or that I can compare it to, would be like the love that you have for like a child, the love that you have for like, your partner or your family, your friends. So it's going to be like that times a million when you do reconnect with source. And that's why I said, it seems to me that that's what this gift is that I'm seeing, that you're gifted with that love that you may feel like you did not experience while you were on earth, or you were searching for it, but you couldn't find it. I do see also that, some people make the decision to now become spirit guides to their loved ones that are still here on earth. They make the decision to become like a guide to them, is what I'm seeing here. And then I don't know if I actually mentioned this already. Sorry if I did, because when I'm channeling, I forget and I might repeat messages. But also, I am hearing that, once somebody passes, sometimes they can kind of stick around on earth or be, somewhat earthbound, because they want to comfort their family. So if they passed unexpectedly, they could be lingering around their family while they're grieving, trying to give them comfort. And I've definitely experienced that or seen that firsthand. And again, sorry if I said that already. When I'm channeling, I really forget all the messages that I am giving. So I just wanted to add that in, that sometimes, souls do choose to kind of stay behind to comfort their loved ones here. But when they do cross over into that higher realm, they may choose to become like a guide of some sort to the loved ones that are here. And also I'm hearing that they may choose to become a guide to, the future generations as well. Because if you think about it, you do become an ancestor, right? So, the future generations, or the future children within your bloodline, you may choose to become a spirit guide to them as well, instead of, reincarnating. So that's what I'm seeing. Trying to figure out if there's anything else. I wasn't trying to make this reading too long, but to me, it feels like the process of death is different than what we would expect. I feel like a lot of people expect it to be painful. A lot of people expect it to be, like a longing to go back, like, oh, I just really want to go back, which I can understand why anybody would have that fear. Something as permanent as death, the last thing that we want is to be longing to come back here after, we've ejected from our bodies and we feel like we don't have the choice to. I feel like that is a big factor that plays into why people are so afraid of death. But from what I'm seeing, even if there is that momentary, I want to go back, there's so much comfort on the other side that kind of helps you to deal with that, and kind of helps you to move forward, like I said, into this higher realm. And then of course you always have the option of reincarnation, and then you also have the option of just merging back with source, and then, even possibly becoming a spirit guide, or kind of like an elder to your bloodline. using all of your wisdom and all of your life experiences that you have had. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I hope that this was helpful. I feel like that's it. I don't feel like there's anything else to be said. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that anybody would want to know about this. Yeah, just ask questions in the comment section because I can't think of anything else. That's all I'm seeing for the cards. Oh, I will say, like, for anybody who's wondering, what the higher realms look like, a very interesting message was coming through that it looks kind of like the way you would want it to look. It's like the higher realms are like a reflection of what you would think a higher realm would look like what you would think, quote unquote, heaven would look like. That's the image that will be projected when you're there, is what I'm seeing. So yeah, in case anybody was wondering about that. So yeah, I really hope that this was helpful. There is a spiritual YouTube channel that I watch called Off the Left Eye that has a lot of information about like things that take place after death. Some of them I feel like they're just more so theories, but they're still interesting theories for sure. So I would check that out. I'll leave the link to that down below. And I hope that this was helpful for you guys in some way, and I will see you in my next video.